Brigadier General another round of applause. Thank you very much. I will now invite Professor Davis Mengengi, Director of the Center for Research Services, to give an overview of the book so that we really appreciate what the book is all about. Those who attended the conference from which this book is emanating, we recall how excellent that conference was. And I think we need to congratulate the school that out of that conference, they have produced a book, and therefore they are able not only to create knowledge, but also to disseminate that knowledge. Prof. Davis, I hope I was not speaking on your behalf.
I think you're done. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, distinguished guests, colleagues, students, members of the public, and members of the media. Please allow me to stand on the protocol observed. It is not only a privilege for me to share the review of the book, which in my observation, I would not say it is a labor of love, but a labor of passion because of the amount of work that went into producing this volume. A disclaimer, I am one of the co-editors to the book. I am the non-specialist, and perhaps that's why I found this book most enjoyable, because it is an eye-opener on the sector of security, and how it applies where you operate. And another disclaimer, that was not a sales pitch. So it is a privilege to review and share my thoughts on the book, Security, Control and Democracy in Africa. A timely and important book edited by Brigadier General Dr. Mumba Thaddeus Mahela, the chief editor, Professor Davis Mumbengegwi, myself, and Professor David Last. The book emerges from the first School of Military Science International Research Conference, which was held and hosted by the University of Namibia in 2023. And it reflects the growing contribution of the School of Military Science to research policy dialogue and knowledge production in Africa. In my perspective, the strength of the book lies in the recognition that security can no longer be viewed through just a military lens. Rather, security is closely intertwined with governance, resource management, democracy, economic development, climate change, migration, human rights, maritime affairs, and regional integration. I think I'm alluding to some of the issues that the Brigadier General has already alluded to. So this broader understanding of security is increasingly important in Africa, where many contemporary challenges cross what we call traditional boundaries relating to security. The book, therefore, attempts, well, I think it succeeds. The book, therefore, invites all readers, and that includes you because you're going to get a copy, to consider a very important question. How can Africa effectively manage its resources, strengthen democratic governance, and promote security in a rapidly changing global environment? There are several key contributions that this book does, and I think one thing that appealed to me is its multidisciplinary nature. The book is multidisciplinary, and it brings together several disciplines and scholars in those areas, including political science, international relations, security, economics, and others. So, across 16 diverse chapters, the book addresses a number of themes, including African regional integration and the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, governance and institutional development, peace and security architecture, climate change and environmental security, migration and human rights, organized crime and terrorism, maritime security, as well as Pan-Africanism and youth engagement. What makes this volume particularly valuable is that it goes beyond just describing the many challenges that we see, but it goes ahead and attempts to actually provide policy solutions, insights, and perspectives that can be used by governments, researchers, and security practitioners and developmental actors. The book is especially relevant in a time when Namibia is gaining increasing global attention due to its strategic natural resources, energy potential, and its increasing geopolitical importance. Questions surrounding resource governance, economic inclusion, national security, regional cooperation, and democratic accountability are becoming increasingly important, not only in Namibia, but in Africa as a whole. Several chapters in this book demonstrate that sustainable development cannot be achieved without effective governance, while security cannot be achieved without addressing underlying issues such as economic, social, and environmental drivers of instability. Just to highlight what I think are 4 strengths of the book. The first one is that the book successfully bridges the gap between theory and practice, connecting academic analysis with contemporary with addressing contemporary policy challenges. Secondly, it provides an African-centered perspective on security and governance issues, ensuring that African voices and experiences come through in the volume and that African experiences are at the forefront of discussion. Before we came to this meeting, we were talking to the Honorable Minister, and he was posing that question: what do you mean African narratives and ideas compared to Europeans? And I think this is a very important aspect of this book, because we are now setting the tone on our issues using our own narratives. Thirdly, it demonstrates the value of interdisciplinary collaboration in understanding complex societal challenges. And lastly, the book provides, perhaps most importantly, the book provides a platform for both established researchers as well as emerging scholars who are the future to contribute to a growing discourse relating to African security and Africa's futures. So just as a reflection, one of the key messages of the book is that security, resource control, and democracy cannot be treated as separate issues. Instead, they form an intertwined system where stakeholders often would have to look at one in order to address the other. The book, therefore, encourages policymakers, scholars alike, and other practitioners to adopt a more integrated approach when trying to understand contemporary challenges facing Africa. So in conclusion, security, resource control, and democracy in Africa is a valuable contribution in African scholarship. It allows readers to not only access intellectual leadership provided by the authors, and it shows the impact of the School of Military Science, as well as demonstrating the University of Namibia's commitment to producing research that is not only academically rigorous, but has societal relevance. The editors and contributing authors should be commended for being able to bring together this diverse collection on the perspectives on the issues relating to Africa's development, stability, and future prosperity. I've no doubt, I don't have an iota of a shadow of doubt that this book will in future years be a very important resource for all those who are studying development in Africa and planning its future. And I do encourage you to get a copy, read it, and use it as a resource. And again, I repeat, this is not a sales pitch. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. We are not sure whether it is not a sales week or not. But thank you very much. I hope we have now an overview of what the book is all about. Those that attended the conference can really recall the debate that took place at that conference that was very useful. At this juncture, I would like to invite the UNAM choir to give us some interludes. As you know, we cannot have an event at UNAM without the UNAM choir. UNAM choir, can you please come in and give us some items?
Mwalifasila manyando lelupila kulonale luyole siku ya haye luyo pumula. Mwalifasila manyando lelupila kulonale luyole siku ya haye luyo pumula. Mwalifasila Luyo
Thank you very much. Can we give them another round of applause, please? I think we have seen the relevance of the singing towards the book. It is about inclusivity, it's about justice for all, and they have demonstrated that you are able to be multicultural and multilingualism, because they can sing in any language without any hindrance. So all of us must be able to speak various languages and sing in various languages. Having said that, I would like to invite Professor Ellen Deshinamila, the Pro-Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, for the remarks, and thereafter to invite the keynote speaker to address us and also to launch the book. Prof. Namila.
Good morning. Is the morning good? All right. Let us accept that the morning is good. I'm sending you warmest greetings from the Vice Chancellor of the University of Namibia, Professor Kenneth Matengu, who due to urgent commitment, he is not here with us today. Honorable Franz Kapofi, Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Lieutenant General Martin Shally, former Chief of the Namibian Defense Force, I want to say the plan combatant. Lieutenant General Martin Shally is one of the few people I have known, 1976, March to be precise, when I joined SWAPO in exile. He was at the war front. And he remained at the war front. When I say at the war front, I don't mean that in the camp of this and that. I mean in action in the battlefield. So today we are launching a book, and I can't wait when he will launch his book of many years of fighting an enemy who was on air, who was in water. If you look at Lubito, you know, on foot, and in a number of complicated military vehicles that even at their noise, it gives you already like you want to release something. No, I tell you, if you were never bombed, you wouldn't understand this. But if you have been there, you will see. So these are the people. And really, I even want to ask him to stand up so that we can put our hands together for people who have survived. Yes. Our Dean for the Faculty of Agriculture, Engineering, and Natural Science, and other deans present here. Brigadier General Mahela, I only can say well done. This is exemplary, and I hope you have started a process which should not end here. Let me stand by the protocols already established. Good morning, and thank you all for honoring this important occasion with your presence. Today is not simply the launch of a book, it is the continuation of critical conversation about the future of Africa. A conversation about governance, peace, sovereignty, development, and responsible management of our continent's vast resources. I wish to sincerely acknowledge and appreciate the presence of our Honorable Minister and government's officials, representatives here today. Your attendance demonstrates a shared commitment to intellectual engagement and policy dialogue on matters that affect the stability and prosperity of our nation. I also extend gratitude to academics, civil society leaders, development partners, students, and all invited guests who believe in the power of ideas to shape society. This book, Security, Resource Control, and Democracy in Africa, was written from a deep concern and conviction emanating from the main themes and sub-themes of that conference. Africa remains one of the richest continents in natural resources, yet many of our nations continue to struggle with insecurity, inequality, political instability, and governance challenges. The central question that inspired this work is simple. Why does resource abundance in Africa often coexist with insecurity and democratic fragile? This book seeks to explore the complex relationship between control of natural resources, state security, the people. Security have also evolved from traditional to include human security, where resources become Africa stands at a defining moment. The continent possesses immense mineral wealth, youthful population, strategic geopolitical importance, and growing democracy aspirations. However, these opportunities require that the sons and daughters of Africa to participate in the building of the region. This book calls for stronger institutions, responsible resource governance, regional cooperation, and democratic systems that genuinely serve the people. To the younger generation and emerging scholars, I see students here, Africa's future will not only be shaped in political offices or boardrooms, it will be shaped in classrooms, universities, research centers, and through courageous public discourse. I hope this book encourages critical thinking, informed debates, and new policies, solutions for our continent. Now, to my second task, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our guest of honor, Honorable Franz Kapofi, Member of Parliament, a man in whose footsteps many will find it difficult to keep pace. I am not going to reveal his age. I have his full CV here. We will sleep here if I start going through the whole CV as presented, but I will try to do justice. He went in exile, 1975, joined the People's Liberation of Namibia Plan, attended military school in Libya. He also attended Lenin Institutes of Higher Learning in Moscow, USSR, today Russia. He has been to many places, UK, UK, United States, California there, Arusha, Tanzania. He is also a scholar, by the way. When he's among you academics, don't shy away from coming closer. He's a colleague also. He was the director of Namibia Health and Education Center in Nyango, Kaoma, there in Zambia, district of Kaoma, from 1980 to 1983. And I must say that was the first time I met Honorable Kapofi in Nyango. Although what happened in Nyango must remain in Nyango, but I must tell you that when I met Honorable Kapofi 1990 here in Namibia, I asked him, what happened to you? You shrank. Yeah, because those days we used to be very afraid of him. He was our camp commander, and one day the camp was attacked by the South Africans. Combination, I think it was South Africans with Ian Smith from Rhodesia. The planes came, they flew over our camp, and you know, and when you are young, you think everybody is taller. And when you see them, when you are also taller, then you now don't know. I was asking him what happened, but yeah. But anyway, the thing is that just like what I said about Lieutenant General Martin Shally, I can say the same, that these are men who are tested with real bullets, because it was many children in that camp, and I don't know how they managed to evacuate all of us, no injuries, and those planes were given, I think, maybe you can talk more about it. They were shot at, those planes. They opened fire, and I think they were so afraid that they didn't attempt to make a comeback. Maybe they made 2 rounds or 3 rounds, and then they were shot at, and they left. So we were, at that age, just admiring the strength of these men and women in uniform, disciplined. With limited resources, they did what they could. And maybe I'm talking too much now. Before the MC start calling me to order, I want to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable, our guest speaker, Honorable Franz Kapofi, Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, to come to the podium to give his keynote address. Thank you. Put your hands together for me, please.
Please be seated. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Amina, for inviting me to take the floor. The order of protocol was already established, but I would like to still recognize the dean of our school, Dr. Mahela. I see Vincent there, Dr. Mangi, they were all here. The Maiba, I don't think he was ever a dean here, but I also want to recognize my dear colleague and friend, Dr. Andre de Pisani. We have crossed paths in many ways, discussing the aspect of security at a very, very high level. You were told about General Martin Shally. I met General Shally in 1975 in Angola. He was coming from the USSR. I was coming from Kasapa. We were trained in Angola because we were en route to Zambia, but SWAPO decided to establish a front in Angola. So we were told we are no longer going to proceed there. We have to be in Angola. General Shally was now coming, bringing with a truck. I don't know how they managed to bring that truck where it was stuck. They got stuck somewhere because there were a lot of rivers there. In one swamp, the truck went in there. So we had to be told to go to where the truck was. And we had to walk for about 2 days to go and find the truck. He was there. So I looked at him and I thought he was younger than myself. I was very impressed because I looked at this, I said, this young guy, very soldierly. And that impression I got that day of him remained true to today. Martin Shally was a proper soldier. The first day I saw him, up to today, you see him where when he's like that, he's not well, that doesn't look good. Put him in a uniform. That's where he belongs. And we then went into, we have been on the case in different areas, most of the time at the front here, and we changed. I went different direction, Those days we were told what to do. We never made a choice. You were told you are going this way, you are going this way. How I ended up in Zambia. We went to Zambia in '79 with a group of us officers who went to. Among that group that was deployed in Zambia was General Ndaitwa, the current first general. We were together in that group that was sent to Zambia to go and reinforce that front because the enemy was becoming very vicious. So we went there. I went to the front, crossed the river into the pontoon, went to join my others. I was then told I was called back. Sorry, Dr. Maela, this is not about your book. Just wait. I just want to tell you a story a little bit. So we went, I was then recalled. As we were deployed there, I was then recalled. I was told, no, you are called back to Senanga. Senanga was our regional headquarters sort of there. Then it was '79. So when I went to Senanga, I was told, no, the leadership has decided to deploy you. The defense headquarters is going to deploy you in Nyango. And I said, what is Nyango now? Where is it? They said, no, it's a place, center for where we have our wounded, our civilians, women, children, everything. There is a group of soldiers there. You are going to be in charge. Send you there to be in charge. So I went there. And these ones, when they came, she doesn't want me to say anything about what happened there, but they were youngsters. They were scared of the name, but I was the same height. They were small ones. They were younger, but she doesn't want me to say that. But it's all right. She asked me what happened to your body? The body was the same, but she had overgrown me. She grew past me, so that was it. Now the incident of the attack, there was really no attack. What happened that day was, she had a memory of what happened, of something that has happened. The commander who was in charge of our air defense system saw the planes. The planes were coming, I think they were from Sulawesi. I think they were Rhodesians going to bomb Zimbabweans. But the planes were flying at a far distance. But my guys started to fire without asking me. They saw the planes were passing like this, but the planes they were in the formations. I saw the planes myself, but they were fired at a long distance. The distance was too far. Out of range, completely out of range. So why we had to evacuate them is because we exposed our positions. So the enemy would have come back. So that is why we have to get them out for a couple of hours and to check the situation. That commander was severely reprimanded. Severely reprimanded. I don't know whether I reported to General Shari because he was our chief of operation head. So it was uncalled for. That we found even authority, you just to open fire. Well, he thought maybe he got panicked, but he thought maybe he was doing a good job by protecting, but he was exposing our positions. So that was the story of those days. Dr. Namila talked about me having been to the UK. I was in the UK only when I was PS of Defense. After independence, I went to what is called the Civil Service College there for a while, just to be shaped up a little bit, because we were just told you are PS of Defense, we didn't know these things. Yeah, we were just there, we were told, I was a political person, I was a political commissar. Now, to be told to become PS, General Shah, we were together, all of us, we picked up a Minister of Defense. We didn't know where to start. So we had British, they came to work together with them. So I went to Sunningdale to do something, some studies, to read a little bit of English. Yeah, because in those days, it's English, bush English. So those are the things. Of course, I went to California to a place called, I don't know what's the name now. It's a nice place where they were giving courses on, it's called the Naval Postgraduate School of the USA. It's a beautiful place where you meet academics, serving and retired generals. I went there just to hear. That is the year when General Aidid destroyed the American helicopters in Somalia. That was the topic that time. That was the topical issue. So the others are saying now, if you were unable to meet General Aidid, you cannot fight the war anywhere else. So that's why they decided to go and prove themselves that they can attack Iraq, Libya, and everybody else. That is about the story. Today, I'm going to my speech that was prepared for the day. I'm very sorry if I ruined your appetite. Forgive me, because I thought I must just inform you that we have come a long way, and those of you who are seated in front of me have a long way to go, and you have a responsibility towards Namibia. We want to leave Namibia in your hands. You see, those of us who were there then, you can now count. Those days were many, but now you can count 3, 4, 5. Nature is taking its toll. And it's normal, is it? Yes. It is both a privilege and an honor to join you today for the launch of the important publication, Security, Resource Control, and Democracy in Africa. I extend my sincere congratulations to the authors, editors, contributors, and all those who have worked tirelessly to ensure we gather here today to launch these very educational publications. Producing scholarly work that addresses the critical issues shaping our continent is not merely an academic exercise, it is a contribution to Africa's development, stability, and future prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa stands at a defining moment in its history. The continent is endowed with vast natural resources, a youthful population, and immense economic potential. Our continent has been used as a reservoir of resource, be it natural, minerals, and human. It is the wealth of Africa that has built up many of the today's prospering countries. The crown, the diamond that's in that crown has its source, origin in Africa. So many other crowns that you see glittering. What is shining is a resource from Africa. And no one is prepared to let Africa go. So, we have people in diaspora. You know the slave trade. We have countries outside in the Pacific who have populations in other countries in Latin America and some other places, Africans. They did not go there voluntarily. So the challenge remains. Yet, alongside these opportunities, many African nations continue to grapple with complex challenges related to governance, security, resource management, and democratic consolidations. The theme explored in this book, or the themes explored in this book, are therefore both timely and relevant. Security, resource control, and democracy are not isolated concepts. They are deeply interconnected pillars that influence the trajectory of nations and the well-being of citizens. Democracy is an interesting concept because what is democratic to you may not be democratic to me. Because there are those who profess that their type must be your type. It must exactly be the same. If it does not resemble theirs, it's not practiced the same way, then it is not democracy. It is up to you scholars to define what you mean by democracy in this context. Because eradication of poverty does not have to do, that has nothing to necessarily to do with democracy, or the type of democracy we are talking about. Sharing of resources may not necessarily be, democracy may not necessarily be condition precedent for sharing resources. But I leave that to Andre and others to explain. Security provides the foundation upon which societies can thrive. Without peace and stability, development becomes difficult, investment decline, and the human potential remains unrealized. At the same time, the management and control of natural resources remain among the most significant determinants of economic growth and social cohesion across the continent. Equally important is democracy, which provides the framework through which citizens participate in shaping their collective future. Strong democratic institutions, accountability, respect for the rule of law, and inclusive governance creates the condition necessary for both sustainable security and responsible resource management. This book invites us to reflect on these critical relationships. It challenges policymakers, scholars, practitioners, and citizens alike to think deeply about how Africa can strengthen institutions, promote equitable resource governance, and build resilient democratic systems capable of addressing contemporary challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, the value of a publication such as this lies not only in the knowledge it contains, but also in its potential to stimulate dialogue. Progress is often born from informed debate, critical reflection, and the exchange of ideas. Books remain powerful instruments for shaping public discourse, influencing policy, and inspiring future generations of leaders and thinkers. As we launch this book today, we must also recognize the importance of investing in research and knowledge production across Africa. Our continent's challenges and opportunities require African perspectives, African scholarships, and African solutions informed by global best practices. We must continue to support institutions of higher learning, think tanks, and research centers that contribute to evidence-based policymakers. These are big themes when you talk about evidence policy making. It's not always easy, because a policy can be made without evidence, but it's better if it's well informed by something. Many policies are made to address specific issues. Some of them are long-term, some are short-term. Most of the time they are short-term, to address specific aspects. When I was in England, at Sunningdale, we did a course called Economic Aspects of Policy. It really introduced me to thinking otherwise. It talks about a decision you make that is not informed by the economic aspect of that. What are the impacts when you make that decision? What will that decision do? What impact will it have on the economic aspect of your country? It was a very interesting course that opened some kind of idea, gave me an idea that, so if I decide to say I'm building an airport this much, I decide it's going to be the size of this hall. Or I'm building a university, I'm going to afford it. So every policy has its own economic implications. So this book is inviting us to pay attention to these things. I am confident that this book will serve as a valuable resource for academics, students, policymakers, development practitioners, and all those interested in understanding evolving dynamics of governance, security, and resource management in Africa. To the authors and contributors, your work enriches the body of knowledge on issues that are central to the continent's future. Your efforts deserve recognition and appreciation. As Africa continues its journey towards peace, prosperity, and democratic maturity, let us remain committed to strengthening institutions, promoting good governance, managing resources responsibly, and advancing inclusive development that benefits all our people. They say charity starts where? We are talking too much about Africa, but we are starting here. It is here, as Africans, we must start as you start to read, apply that knowledge here. Not just to think about Zambia must do this, Zimbabwe must do this here. It is through such collective commitment that we can build societies that are secure, democratic, and economically resilient. With these remarks, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to officially launch the book, Security, Resource Control, and Democracy in Africa. Might it inspire meaningful discussions, inform sound policy, and contribute to a brighter future for our continent. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. I'd like to invite the Pro Vice Chancellor, the Brigadier General, and those that are helping you to come to the front. What is going to happen is we'll request the Honorable Minister to cut that ribbon symbolizing the launch of the book. Then obviously you will just highlight some books to show that it has been launched. So Brigadier General just assist the minister to cut the ribbon, and then for the picture you must just hold some books. So while they are there, I'll request that we are giving complimentary books just for symbolic reasons. We'll give to the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs for their library or resource center. We'll also give to the UNAM library. The invited guests will go to the military boardroom. IUM, others, Prof. Dupisani, Prof. Kampingene, and others, you will get your copies there. For us just to manage our time efficiently, we'll just symbolically give to the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs and also to UNAM. To UNAM for the library.
Thank you for
Thank you very much. I will request our dignitaries to take their seats. At this juncture, allow me to invite Prof. Deyapo Nicanor, the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, Engineering, and Natural Sciences, for the vote of thanks. Prof. Nicanor.
Thank you, Directors of Ceremony, Dr. Maris Kuduma. A very good morning to you all. I'm extremely delighted for this opportunity to give the vote of thanks. But before I do so, I would just like to highlight something briefly. We have recently observed that oil and gas in Namibia is eminent, and this is a resource to which this book is really underpinning those foundations. I would like to indicate that we should not take for granted the resources that we have, and that the debate, including the scholarly debate on issues on the resources, should continue. Now let me return to my task for the day. Honorable Minister Franz Kapofi, the Honorable Minister for the Defense and Veterans Affairs, we are truly delighted that you have decided to spend your morning at the University of Namibia. Thank you so much for your presence. Director of Ceremonies, allow me to just deviate a bit. The Honorable Minister is really a friend of UNAM. His daughter is a medical doctor, alumni from the University of Namibia. His worker, one of his workers' child, is an alumni from the School of Military Science. His namesake, Kapofi, a PhD holder, graduate from the Faculty of Agriculture, Engineering and Natural Sciences, alumni from the University of Namibia. And he actually even also indicated that maybe he will also come to the University of Namibia. Thank you very much for the support. As a ministry, the university truly values the support from the Ministry of Defense and Security. We do have other collaborations, and he has even promised that he will continue to support the School of Military Science at the University of Namibia. So thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I would like to appreciate Lieutenant General Martin Shally, I never sat close, to that high-ranked person until today. I have ever wanted to take a course in military and had hoped as executive dean leading this school where the School of Military is, that I'll come close to him until today. Professor Namila, what you have indicated in terms of his contribution, even today, the youth in him was displayed when the UNAM choir was singing. He was also singing along the UNAM choir. Very youthful indeed. We truly appreciate what you have sacrificed for the Namibian nation, and I can simply say that we are because of you and because of many others that have sacrificed for this country. Professor Ellen Deshinamila, in your capacity as the Pro-Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, representing the Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Kenneth Kamui Matengu, thank you so much for welcoming our guest. I would like to appreciate all government officials present here. I would like to appreciate the editors of the book, Brigadier General Mahela, Professor Davis Mubegegwi from the University of Namibia, as well as Dr. David Last. I would want to believe that Professor David Last was a former Army lieutenant from the Canadian Royal Military College. We truly appreciate the work that you have done to bringing this book at the level where it is. I now like to appreciate Dr. Chibeba in his connection for us to God. He mentioned honesty. And honesty is important when we talk about resources. I would like to appreciate all executive management from UNAM here. Professor Andre Bisani, Professor Emeritus, we appreciate your presence here. Professor Alfred Kamupingeni, thank you so much for gracing this occasion with your presence. The management of the School of Military Science, had you not hosted the conference last year fruitfully, we would not have been here. Thank you so much. Africa Sun Media, resident publisher, the UNAM Choir, Dr. Sifani, representing Dr. Ndino Shiho. I would like to inform you, and Dr. Sifani, please, you can pass it on. The School of Military Science, as part of its contribution to the Integrated Strategic Business Plan, which is to have books published, please tick it off today. The School of Military part has done its part. I would like to appreciate the presence of all our visitors, UNAM staff members, UNAM students, please let's make use of this book. Dr. Mange, thank you so much for coming back. Now you can come and see whether the school is improving or it has gone down. He was our former Associate Dean for the School of Military Science. Thank you so much for your presence. Lastly, I would now like to thank our Director of Ceremonies, Dr. Marius Kudumo. Thank you so much for facilitating this session. We truly appreciate and that you are here. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I make the announcements, 2 observations from my side. My work is just to observe. That's what I do in life. Firstly, is just to indicate, especially to the students, that we don't only learn in classes. We also learn from those who have never gone to the school and from those that have the experience. What was indicated today here is Namibia needs more platforms where we can discuss and where we can learn. I learned this long time ago, 1989, as I was a school teacher at Rundu there. There was a Professor Pai Obanya from Dakar, UNESCO, who came to our school and asked us what is an educated person. And all of us talked about degrees and so on. Then he asked us, my grandmother who sent me to school and have never been to school and I'm a professor, are you saying that she is not educated? So Prof. Dupisani, Prof. Gampingene, Lieutenant General Martin Shali were the first people to arrive. I think it's because learning is a lifelong process. Let's learn from everyone, not only from our professors. At the conference last year, normally I go to conferences just to listen, not to talk. At that conference, I asked a question to Lieutenant General Martin Shali because he made a profound statement. He said, the resources that you are talking about, especially the oil, do you know where those resources are? And they are underwater. In your discussions about these resources, are you also talking about the security of those resources? And I was wondering, I thought military people are just for the military. Now he's talking about economics, development, and so on. And he further said, are you people planning if everyone will go to Lutherans because of the resources that are there? Are you planning about the health facilities, the housing, and from there on I learned, and I want to engage him to learn more about it. That is strengthening my point that we don't only learn from our professors, we learn from everyone. Having said that, 2 announcements. After the conclusion, when we have sung the anthems, the invited guests, the colleagues from the military school will direct you. You will go to the boardroom of the military school. That's there where you receive your complimentary books. So all the invited guests, including the institutions that are invited, after we have concluded, please go to the boardroom. That's there where you will receive your books. And after the anthems, the invited guests, the front row here, you will be directed to go outside just to take a group photo, because we need evidence that you have been here, the book has been launched. So having said that, thank you very much for your cooperation. We have now come to the end of this proceeding. It is now officially closed, and let's rise for the anthems.